The sun dipped lower over Lagos, casting a golden hue across the bustling streets of Ikeja. In a modest two-bedroom flat, Ifeoma sat cross-legged on her worn-out sofa, her phone buzzing incessantly with messages from her bridal train group chat. Her heart swelled with pride as she scrolled through the pictures her friends had sent. Swatches of luxurious Ankara fabrics, shimmering lace, and sketches of elaborate gele designs. 15 women, her closest friends and colleagues, had agreed to stand by her side on her big day. A traditional wedding, followed by a white wedding, just 3 weeks away. It was going to be the event of the year, a testament to her status, her love, and her man, Arinze. Ifeoma had always dreamed of a grand wedding. Growing up in a small village in Anambra, she had watched her cousins marry in simple ceremonies, their joy overshadowed by the practicality of limited resources. She would vow her own story would be different. Arinze, her fiancé of 3 years, was a rock steady, kind and hardworking. He wasn't a millionaire, but he owned a small printing business that kept them comfortable. To Ifeoma, he was her Odegu, a man of valor and strength, and she had boasted about him endlessly to her friends. Arinze would take care of everything, she had told them confidently at their last meeting in a trendy cafe on Betrayal Island. He's not one of those men who would let his woman stress. My Odegu has me covered. The women had clapped and cheered, their eyes gleaming with admiration and a touch of envy. Ifeoma had basked in it, her chest swelling with the certainty that she had chosen the right man. But now, as she sat alone in their shared flirt, a knot of unease tightened in her stomach. The bill for her bridal train attire had come in that morning, a staggering 5 million naira. The fabrics were imported and the designs bespoke, the accessories, gold jewelry, custom shoes and bags had pushed the cost far beyond what she had anticipated. She had assumed Arinze would handle it, just as he has handled the hefty bride price her family had demanded and the catering deposit of 500 guests. But as she stared at the invoice, doubt crept in. Could he really afford this? The door cracked open and Arinze stepped in, his shoulders slumped from a long day at the shop. His faded blue shirt was streaked with ink, and his eyes carried the weight of exhaustion. Yet when he saw Ifeoma, he smiled, a soft, genuine smile that had always melted her defenses. Ifeoma, he greeted, using her pet name. How is my bride doing? She forced a smile, her fingers tightening around the phone. I'm good, Ari. How was work? Busy. The machine broke down again, but we managed. He dropped his bag by the door and sank into the armchair across from her. What's on your mind? You look worried. Ifeoma hesitated, then slid the invoice across the coffee table. The girl sent this today. It's for their outfit. I told them you would handle it. Arinze's brow furrowed as he picked up the paper. His eyes scanned the figure and his face pale. 5 million? Ife, this is too much. Her heart sank, but she pressed on, her voice firm. Arinze, I already told them you would pay. They are counting on it. You know how important this is to me, to us. It is our wedding. He set the paper down, rubbing his temples. Ife, you know my capacity. The bride price nearly wiped me out. The business isn't doing well now. Clients are delaying payments and I'm still fixing that damn machine. Where am I supposed to get 5 million naira from? You could borrow it, she said quickly, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. Just for now, we'll pay it back later. Arinze stared at her. Disbelief edged into his features. Borrow? Ifeoma, I'm already stretched thin. I've been there for you every step of this journey. But this is beyond me. We can't do this right now. Her chest tightened, a mix of anger and shame bubbling up. So you want me to look like a fool? I told them my man is an odegu, that you can handle anything. Why would you let me down now? I'm not letting you down, he said, his voice breaking. I'm being honest. I love you, Ifeoma, but I can't bankrupt myself to impress your friends. She stood abruptly, her hands trembling. Maybe you are not the man I thought you were. Without another word, she stormed out of the room, leaving Arinze staring after her, his heart heavy with a pain he couldn't name. The next day, Ifeoma met her bridal train at their usual spot, a chic rooftop lounge overlooking the Lagos skyline. The air was thick with the scent of grilled suya and the hum of laughter, but Ifeoma's mood was stormy. She recounted her arguments with Arinze, her voice rising with every word. He said he can't pay, she finished, slamming her glass of Chapman on the table. Can you imagine, after everything I've bragged about? Her friend Nkechi leaned forward, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the table. Ify, this is a red flag. A man who can provide now, what will happen when you are married? You will suffer. Yeah, chimed in Oge, a colleague from Ifeoma's marketing firm. He is stingy. You deserve better, babe. It's not too late to call it off. The word stung, but they also fueled a fire in Ifeoma's chest. She has spent years building an image of herself as a woman who had it all. A thriving career, a loving fiancé, and a life her friends envied. To admit Arinze couldn't meet up her expectations felt like admitting she had failed. And so, urged on by their laughter and pointed advice, she made a decision that would haunt her for months. I'm done, she declared, her voice trembling with resolve. If you can't step up, I won't settle. The group erupted in cheers, toasting her bravery, but as Ifeoma sipped her drink, a hollow ache settled in her chest. She pushed it aside, convincing herself she was doing the right thing. That evening, she called Arinze. It's over, she said flatly, cutting off the pleas before he could finish. I need a man who can match my vision. Goodbye, Ari. The line went dead, and with it, 3 years of love crumbled into silence. Arinze didn't take the breakup well. For weeks, he wandered through life in a daze, the weight of shame and loss pressing down on him. He had spent everything, his savings, his pride, to give Ifeoma the wedding she wanted, only for her to walk away over something he couldn't control. Friends tried to console him, but their words felt empty. He stopped going to the shop, letting his assistant handle the dwindling orders while he nursed his wound in solitude. Ifeoma, meanwhile, threw herself into proving she had made the right choice. She posted cryptic quotes on Instagram. Know your worth. Never settle for less. And flaunted freedom at parties and brunches. Her friends praised her strength, but late at night when the noise faded, she would lie awake, replaying Arinze's word. I've been there for you every step of this journey. She would shake off the guilt, telling herself she deserved more. Months passed and life moved on. Arinze began to heal, slowly, piecing himself back together. One evening, while sorting through old invoices at the shop, he got a call from an old friend, Chioma. She had been part of his life long before Ifeoma, a quiet presence who had always understood him without words. They met for drinks, and what started as a catch-up turned into something more. Chioma was different, grounded, kind, and uninterested in flashiness. She saw Arinze for who he was and not what he could provide. 6 months later, they were engaged. Their wedding plans were simple: a ceremony with close family and friends, no bridal train, no extravagant bills. Arinze felt a peace he hadn't known in years, and Chioma's laughter became his refuge. Ifeoma heard about the wedding through the grapevine. At first, she brushed it off. Arinze could do what he wanted, but curiosity gnawed at her, and when Nkechi casually mentioned the bride's name, Ifeoma's world tilted. "Chioma," she repeated, her voice barely a whisper. "My own Chioma." Nkechi nodded, oblivious to the storm brewing in Ifeoma's chest. "Yeah, your old friend from uni. She's marrying Arinze next weekend." Small thing, though no fuse. Ifeoma's mind raced. Chioma, the same Chioma who had sat with her at the rooftop lounge, nodded as Nkechi called Arinze stingy. The same Chioma who had toasted to her decision to leave. Betrayal sliced through her, sharp and cold. She couldn't resist. On the wedding day, she drove to the venue, a modest church in Surulere, and watched from her car as guests filled in. There was no pomp, no parade of Asebi women, just Arinze, handsome in a simple suit, and Chioma, radiant in a white gown that cost a fraction of what Ifeoma's bridal train had demanded. They held hands, their smiles genuine, their love unburdened by expectation. As the couple danced their first dance, Adeze's eyes burned with tears. She saw what she had lost, not just Arinze, but the chance at a love built on trust, not pride. Chioma had taken her place, not with fanfare, but with quiet grace. And Ifeoma knew deep down that she had been the architect of her own ruin. That night, Ifeoma wept. She wept for the man she had pushed away, for the friends who had fed her ego, and for the woman she had become. She wanted to prove she was enough, but in chasing validation, she had lost one person who had seen her worth without embellishments. Months later, she ran into Arinze and Chioma at a market. They were buying vegetables, laughing over some private joke. Ifeoma froze, but Arinze spotted her and waved. Her smile kind but distant. Chioma nodded politely, her hand resting on Arinze's arm. A silent claim. "Take care, Ify," Arinze said, and then they were gone, leaving her with the weight of her choices. Ifeoma never married. She dated, but no one matched the quiet strength Arinze had offered. She learned too late that love wasn't about proving a point. It was about building a life. And as she watched her friends drift away, chasing their own illusions, she vowed to find herself again, not in the eyes of others, but in the mirror of her own soul.